Hey everyone, my name is Bittersteel, and you might know me from some of my own Hearts of Iron 4 work on my YouTube channel. I am collaborating with Paradox Interactive to help guide you through some of the basic features of Hearts of Iron 4. In this video, we will be going over the Navy to help you rule the high seas. Navies are a nation's armed forces at sea. They are comprised of a variety of vessels, which can be researched in the Research tab. There are three relevant classes of ships: the submarine, the screening vessel, and the capital ship. Submarines are hunter-killers. They are cheap and very difficult to find, which is their main strength. Their main armament consists of torpedoes, which will wreak havoc on anything they hit. These ships specialize in raiding enemy shipping lanes. The smallest surface vessel in your fleet is the destroyer. This is the main escort vessel for your larger capital ships and is a capable counter to submarines due to its ability to deploy depth charges and its excellent spotting. Its main armament are its torpedoes to launch at enemy capital ships and light guns to target enemy screening vessels. Its speed and surface detection also make them competent scouts and patrol vessels. Light cruisers are essentially a bigger version of the destroyer. They can do anything a destroyer can, but are significantly more expensive. They are, however, more sturdy in terms of armor and hit points, pack more firepower, and can operate at much greater ranges. Moving on, we arrive at the heavy cruiser, our first capital ships. A heavy cruiser is much like a light cruiser, except for the addition of heavy guns. These weapons are capable of targeting and damaging enemy capital ships, and they forgo any torpedo capabilities and perform slightly worse at spawning enemy vessels. Their main job is to deal damage and go toe-to-toe with the enemy. Next, we have the battle cruiser. A middle ground between a heavy cruiser and a true battleship, these can be considered battleships on a budget. They outperform the heavy cruiser in several areas, but will cost significantly more in terms of industry. They are cheaper than a true battleship, however, and fall short of their bigger cousins' firepower. Lastly, we have the magnificent battleships and their bigger brother, the super heavy battleship. These are the largest surface warfare vessels in your arsenal. Extremely expensive, extremely large, but they pack a magnificent punch and deal out the most heavy attack of any ship. Use these precious tools wisely. And to round out this section, we have one more vessel to discuss: the aircraft carrier. Aircraft carriers are specialized capital ships who serve as a base of operations for specialized aircraft capable of engaging enemy navies from the sky. These are extremely expensive vessels, and without their air wings are virtually defenseless. Be sure to always protect them. They will perform at their best when operating in areas that cannot be efficiently covered by ground-based aircraft, since they carry only a limited number of airplanes. Now that we know what different ship types are available, let us see how we produce those vessels. To produce ships, we go up to the production tab. This is where all military production takes place, and that naturally includes ships. To produce a ship, we simply click on the button Build Ships and then select the ship we wish to produce from the list. This list will include all vessels that we have researched. For this example, let us take the Battleship 3, the Bismarck. Once selected, it will be added to the queue, and we can assign the desired amount of naval dockyards, up to 5 for any capital ship and up to 10 for any screening vessel. And now the game will continue to produce Battleship 3s until we manually tell it to stop. What we can also do is click on the plus and select the amount of battleships we want produced. When we do this, the game will produce the set amount of ships and then cease production, freeing up those dockyards. So now that you've built all of your glorious ships, we need to organize them. Ships that are built will by default go into what is called the reserve fleet. You can find this here. Now, to organize our ships, we first need to assign them to an actual fleet. We can either select all of the ships, or in this menu here, individually select the ships we want, and if we hold down shift, we can make a selection. When we have made the selection we want, we can then click here to create a new fleet from the selected task forces. This is how ships are organized in fleets, with those fleets then being separated into task forces. The fleet will have the overall command under an admiral, while the task forces can then be subdivided beneath that admiral. In this case, there is just a single task force containing all of our ships, which is not the most beneficial way to organize your ships, but it is easier to get things done. If we want to change our selection from this point on, we can simply manually select the ships we want by holding Shift and clicking from the list, and then press this button, create a new task force, and a new task force under that same admiral in that same fleet will be created. And now we can give these ships a few orders. The first one is the basic naval exercises. With naval exercises, your ships will slowly start to gain experience, and more experienced navies and their crews will perform better in combat. They will use quite a bit of fuel while doing this. The second option your fleets can perform is the patrol task. To set a navy to patrol, you simply select the patrol mission and then right-click the sea zone where you want that fleet or task force to patrol. Now do note, every task force can only cover one sea zone. So if you want to cover 2 sea zones, that will not work with a single task force. You will need to split up your larger fleets into smaller task forces to cover more ground. As for the patrol mission, when the ships are assigned to this mission, they will actively patrol the region trying to find enemies. When those enemies are spotted, they will either engage or they will simply report on their position so larger, more capable fleets can come in and attack. Another task that your fleets can perform is called the strike force. Assigning this works the same as patrols. You simply select a sea zone and a single fleet can cover a single sea zone. And with Strike Force active, that task force will sit in the closest naval base or port until an enemy is spotted, either by your air force, by your radar, or by your patrolling fleets. When that enemy is then spotted, your strike force will move to intercept and engage the enemy. Next up, we have convoy raiding. This works exactly the same as the previous two in functionality, and it does exactly what it says on the tin. Your ships will actively start looking for and engaging enemy convoys. We also have the opposite, the convoy escort. What this does is order your ships to escort your convoys in the selected region and trying to protect them against enemy raids. This works much the same way as patrol does, except it will be more focused on protecting your convoys than it will be at trying to actively find an enemy. And then lastly, navies can also perform naval invasion support. It will order your ships to move to the port from which a naval invasion is planning to set out from, and it will strive to achieve naval superiority along the entire path that a naval invasion will need to take. It will escort those convoys that are carrying your troops across, and upon arrival, your fleet will sit at the shoreline trying to provide some shore bombardment so the naval landings have a higher chance of success. And with that, we can conclude our short overview of the Navy. Thank you for watching and sticking with me through this short series of videos. I hope you found these entertaining and educational, and I hope you learned something. Be sure to subscribe to this channel, we wouldn't want you to miss anything.